All right, hello. Looks like we are live and just really going to run through the forecast for anybody that's watching live or will be watching live, or if you're catching this at a later time, just giving you an update on where things stand. So thought I would go live this evening instead of do a video this morning, just simply because we are looking at more of a weather story tonight as opposed to this morning. If I back out here on the radar and kind of show you the setup of things, again, we are right here located in southern Indiana, some viewers in northern Kentucky. So this is really where we are located. And then out to the west, you see we've got a low pressure system here over Tulsa. And that low pressure system is what's bringing all the clouds and all the wind and precipitation. So there's a couple different stories here, right? There are really three. There's the rain and how much rain we're going to see. There's the wind and how much wind are we going to see. And then there is the cold air to follow. So really just want to time this all out. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll check in just a few minutes. But again, just going to give everybody a brief rundown of what's going on. So if we remember right, a low pressure system, again, which is right over about Tulsa, Oklahoma, has counterclockwise flow. So that means it's pulling moisture from the Gulf, it's pulling moisture up, and it's pulling it over and around the low pressure system. That is why we've noticed that the humidity throughout today has actually increased. So we're seeing plenty of moisture surging north. We've got plenty of cooler air behind it. You could see there were some snow showers earlier in southeastern Wyoming. And yeah, this is the stage. And right now is what I have on CR, that's cumulative reflectivity. So is what that is it takes the highest reflectivity value and it actually puts it down in the storm. So if I turn on base reflectivity, that's what the lowest scan that the radar is picking up is showing. So it's a lot less intimidating, so to speak, whenever you have the base reflectivity on. But this is kind of what we're looking at. So if we actually zoom in closer to home, these yellow boxes you'll see popping up here and there are severe thunderstorm warnings. We really don't have any of those across our area. Currently, we had a few just one south of Mount Vernon, Illinois, and a couple in southeast Missouri. But otherwise, for us, not much. The story that we're kind of watching right now, and again, I'm filming this right at about 6 p.m. On Saturday evening, October 18th, would be we're seeing some development of some showers, those isolated showers popping up out ahead of this main line. And so that's what you're seeing now across Dubois County, across Orange County. You'll see it here in the last few frames. There you go. You see these showers that are kind of popping up from Mitchell to Paoli, French Lick, Dubois County, Jasper. These are popping up. We see a couple around Salem. These are no more than just sprinkles, really, at this time. And so if we put this back into further motion here, we've had heavier rain over to the west. I know there was a report earlier this afternoon of some heavy rain around 4 p.m. around Terre Haute. As you can see that moving through there and moving off to the north and east. And then, so we're going to see these scattered showers here over the next couple of hours across the area. Nothing too big in terms of dropping a lot of rain. Again, this is just kind of building out ahead of the main player, which is the cold front. Now, I do kind of want to point out a couple of things here. If we turn on lightning and we look for lightning, we're not seeing any close to us, which is good. So this tends to just be just some nice moderate rain, some isolated areas of heavy rain. And then if we turn on wind gust, yeah, you're seeing anywhere between 20 and 25 mile per hour wind gust. You're seeing some gustier winds down here towards northeastern Arkansas and southeastern Missouri. Those are the winds that are going to be moving in across our area. And that brings us to the next point, which is the winds we're going to see after midnight tonight in our area. I do want to put on here, this is the SPC, so this is the Storm Prediction Center. This yellowish orange area indicates where there is a slight risk of severe weather. The darker green is a very, 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 very small chance of severe weather. And really, I just want to point out to you on this, this is why you need to, not just my page, but any other page that you look at in terms of an app, a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, make sure that you're dealing with an actual meteorologist. And I'm not trying to purposely throw shade, but the amount of people that I have seen completely blowing this potential of severe weather out of, just completely blowing it up out of nowhere, that is unnecessary. It is a clickbait tactic to get more views, hence more money. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about accuracy. So you'll never get me hyping anything up. And if I do get hyped up about something, then you can take that quite serious. I'm not hyped up about tonight. You're going to see some gustier winds outside of thunderstorms. In a perfect world, you could get a thunderstorm that's hitting and get a gusty wind of around 50 miles per hour. I know that there's people out there saying we have a chance of tornadoes. It's a percent, 1%. And these would be quick, brief spin up. I'm not concerned about that. We've not even seen any severe thunderstorm warnings up this far north. So again, we'll watch as the main action comes in towards midnight tonight. But as of right now, nothing that I am concerned about whatsoever. So let me back out again. Let me turn off the winds here. And I want to just point out that this is kind of what we're looking at, okay? One thing I want you to watch, and we'll see here in just a second on the future radar, we see these scattered showers here that are forming across the area right now. Not much really to get all worked up about. These will move off to the north, and then we will enter a period of just windy conditions but dry. And really that's kind of that gap between what we're seeing now and what we will see as the main front passes through at around midnight. So that's kind of what we're seeing currently anyways. And let me go over here and see if I have, maybe we will, oh, hi, Lori. How are you? I think we're going to dodge severe weather. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I will say just the regular wind gust. We're under a wind advisory from 1 a.m. until 9 a.m. Actually, it's from Orange in Washington County and then points to the south towards the river. But, you know, the wind doesn't just magically like stop when it gets to a county border. So we're expecting anywhere in the range of 40 to even 50 mile per hour isolated wind gust, and that's non-thunderstorm wind gust. So that's how strong the pressure gradients are with this low pressure system as it approaches. The stronger the pressure gradients, the higher the wind gust. And so that's what we are getting ready to see. We've seen that these wind gusts have kind of ramped up a little bit on throughout the afternoon and evening, and they will continue to do so. But that 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern daylight time, that is where we are going to see, again, 35, 40, 45, and even 50 mile per hour wind gust. These aren't sustained winds. Sustained winds are, that's a different story. We're going to see 15 mile per hour, 20 mile per hour sustained winds after we get past midnight. Grading. I actually need to do that once I get off this forecast. But let's check out some model data, okay? As you can see, this is the latest. We're close enough to the system now that I refer to the high resolution model. That's what I like to look at. And as you can see, if we put this into motion here, it shows, it picks up on these scattered, it picks up on these, let's see if I'm drawing in the right correct place. It picks up these scattered showers across southern Indiana. And then if we put this into forward motion as we get through the overnight, notice the gap, right? Notice this gap where you've got no precipitation here. That's why we are then, at that point, we're setting the stage for this line of storms to move through. Now, as that moves through, that's going to be coming with these gustier winds, right? The 40, 45 mile per hour wind gust. I do want to point out what this high resolution model is actually showing. We may see a few isolated showers and storms pop up ahead of this, but as we put it into motion, We see the main bulk of this entering our western counties, Orange County, DuBois County, Lawrence County. This is actually at 4Z, Z for Zulu time. That is, you subtract 4 hours from that, and then it's like military time. So that would be 0Z for us, and then 0Z is, going to be 0 hour. It's midnight. So this is what it looks like right around midnight coming into our area. And then you'll see that it comes through the area, and then we get another little band here, right? We've got this other little band here that is going to move through. And then actually, this right now is at around 3 a.m. And then you see a little gap, and then we're going to see another wave form and move through this area here. And this is at around 10 a.m. So we're going to see, according to this high resolution model radar, we are going to see these scattered showers across the area now. Nothing to write home about, nothing severe at this point. And then we'll see a few pop up ahead of this first line of storms that's going to come through around midnight. One thing you can always kind of point out in this area with lines, typically they come in because they're moving so fast with a lot of wind. They come in a little bit earlier than what the model data shows. So anywhere after 11 p.m. is what I would expect. Then you see general rain. You might see another little wave of heavier rain, a couple hour gap, and then about mid-morning some more. That's the high resolution model here that's spitting that out. Let's see what it's going to show in terms of total QPF. Total QPF, this is, again, hopefully you've learned this by now. QPF is quantitative precipitation forecast, okay? That's how much liquid precipitation that we're expecting. This is, again, the high resolution model. If we put this into forward motion and let it go, and if we stop this, this is at noon Sunday. So as of noon Sunday, if we zoom in, Orange County looks like to be right around an inch. Washington County around a half an inch to an inch, more often to the north and the west. So that's kind of what we're seeing in terms of precipitation wise. Okay. Now let's look at wind gusts. So the wind gusts we're looking at, and the one thing you need to understand about this when we talk about wind gusts, we're talking about 10 meter, right? So that's roughly about 30 feet off the ground. We don't obviously, typically exist, we're not 30 feet tall. So you take these values and come off of them just a little bit as a nice little shorthand. You see, we've been seeing these gusty winds across the area, 20 mile per hour, some 25 mile per hour gust. And then as we approach midnight, actually, as we approach this evening, we're going to see kind of a reduction in those winds. And then this right here is midnight. Okay, so at midnight, we're seeing 30 mile per hour gust, 25 mile per hour gust. These reds are upwards of 40 mile per hour gusts. So you can see how they're isolated. And that's kind of what I want to get across to you is in this area right here, these little small areas of red are isolated. You can see in here, this is like Martin County, DuBois County, and then points off into the west. So it's not everybody's going to be seeing 40 mile per hour wind gusts, but every once in a while it may just gust up that high. And then as we go into tomorrow, it looks like the heaviest winds, according to this computer model, are just after midnight. So again, after that 1 a.m., so you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m., those heaviest winds. Then we're actually going to see a gap. And I noticed that the National Weather Service put this out. I'm a huge fan of the National Weather Service. I think they do a wonderful job. We're going to see a gap in these winds. And at this time, this is at around 7 a.m., so about the time everybody's waking up. When I say a break in these winds, it's still going to be 15 to 20 mile per hour gust, but it won't be that 35, 45 mile per hour gust. And then if we actually put this into motion again, here comes another wave at around noon of high winds, okay? I'm going to back this model off. I'm going to go back to the 18Z run of this high resolution model. This goes out 48 hours now, so if I actually go out, here's the winds tonight associated with that front. They really kick up after 1 a.m. That's when you see all those reds. There's the gap that we're looking at around 7 a.m. And then here come more of the winds as of around noon. And from about noon until roughly around 7 or 8 o'clock, we're going to be seeing those gustier winds again, 25, 35, with some isolated, and when I say isolated, I mean few and far between, gusts of upwards of 40 miles per hour. And then finally starting to slow down as we go throughout Sunday night into Monday. So that's kind of what we're looking at this point. I want to go back actually, and I want to look at the radar and see kind of what we're looking at. An updated radar. Let's see if we've got any more showers that's formed across our area. Here we go. Bingo. Yeah, so just some light sprinkles. I'm not even sure that's probably getting many surfaces wet there northeast of Salem towards Seymour in the Brownstown area, north of Scottsburg. You're getting into some heavier showers over towards Lagodi, Washington, Vincennes, Princeton, but those are traveling off into the north and east. Now, let's go ahead real fast. I'm going to check and see if anybody else has any questions or anything. We absolutely could use, you're welcome, Rhonda. Yeah, Adam, we absolutely could use the rain. We are still abnormally dry, is what we are considered. So we need that rain. We need around at least an inch of rain. I'm not as confident. I know I saw some estimates, and if you watch my forecast throughout the week, you know that I wasn't as high on these 2-inch rain totals as the computer models and everybody else was kind of putting out. Again, it's this hype machine. I'm actually thinking, let me know if you think it's a good idea. I'm sarcastic if you know me personally or work with me. I'm thinking about creating like a Wolfcon measure that gives a value to how much these fake meteorologists and fake weather enthusiasts are freaking out. Just something to kind of laugh at, because again, seek out real meteorologists. They won't get you all worked up just for clickbait. One thing I want to look at real fast, if we go back out to the web, I want to see what we are going to look at in terms of precipitable water. Now, why am I looking at precipitable water? Well, if you learned earlier this week, it's how much water, if you took an entire column of the atmosphere and you squeezed it like a rag, it's all the moisture that's in that column of the atmosphere, okay? So let me go forward here, and as this moves through our area right at midnight, so you can see this is midnight, these darker purples are representing right around 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches across our area. You never really get everything that's in the atmosphere. When it rains, not all the moisture comes out. So you know that you're never going to have more than that much rain. It's just not possible. That much rain, that much water does not exist in the atmosphere over that, your location. So that's why I would go with a healthy, hopefully anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches if you get lucky and get in some of those heavier downpours or some of those smaller thunderstorms. I know I've had several questions of people asking me if they should, sleep downstairs or sleep in a basement. There's not the severe weather risk. Now, if you live next to a bunch of old trees or there's a bunch of trees around your home that could possibly fall or have large branches break, that's actually a possibility due to these high winds. Okay, so something that you need to think about as you go forward into the evening hours. Again, secure everything you have because you're not going to want to get up in the middle of the night and secure the kids' trampoline at 3 a.m. if it blows over into your vehicle. So do it all and do it all right now. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Otherwise, as always, I will post on my Facebook page and Twitter if there's any updates, or I'll come live if there's a sudden severe weather outbreak, but I don't see it. The parameters are not there. That was just all fodder to get you to click. But otherwise, send me a message if you need me to forecast for your specific area. Otherwise, I hope you have a good evening and enjoy the low wind chills tomorrow. Austin, hi. This all starts, you're welcome. We've got some scattered stuff now. The main area of those showers and storms are going to move through around midnight, anytime after 11 p.m. Then you'll see a couple hour gap. Then in the early morning hours, 2 to 4 a.m., you're going to see another little wave come through, and then another little gap. And then maybe around 7 to 10 a.m. in the morning, another little round of some showers. And so that's kind of how we're going to see things progress throughout the evening, but and overnight hours. I will say the reason why I'm kind of 3/4 of an inch to, you're welcome, Lori, to an inch and a half. I actually think it's about an inch and a quarter. Is you saw the future radar. The future radar has these spots, and then those spots of red are what's going to get heavier precipitation. So that's kind of why it's never a uniform, everybody's going to get an inch and a half or everybody's going to get an inch. You always have these different locations that have just heavier reflectivities on the radar. So that's kind of what we're looking at for tonight. Otherwise, I appreciate you for tuning in or watching this at a later time. You're welcome.